Never put these 5 fuels in your chainsaw. Each one can destroy a 2-stroke engine in a single season. And at the end of this video, the 3 fuels that will keep that engine running for 20 years. Here's what almost no homeowner understands. Most dead chainsaws that land on a repair bench were not worn out. They were poisoned. Not by the saw, not by the chain, but by what the owner poured into the tank. Ask any small engine shop what kills the most saws, and they will not say where. They will say, fuel. A 2-stroke engine is one of the least forgiving machines ever built, and the wrong tank can turn a $400 saw into scrap. Number 5. Regular pump gas straight from the station. This one feels harmless. You fill the car, top off the gas can, mix it with oil, done. Here is the problem nobody tells you. Almost all pump gas in America now contains up to 10% ethanol, labeled E10. Ethanol is a solvent, and it is hygroscopic. It pulls water straight out of the air. In a car that burns through a tank in a week, that is manageable. In a chainsaw that sits in a shed for a month, it is a slow death sentence. The ethanol absorbs moisture, separates from the gas, and sinks to the bottom of the tank in a process called phase separation. Then the saw draws that water alcohol sludge straight into the carburetor. The result is a saw that will not start, a carburetor full of corrosion, and fuel lines turned brittle and cracked. Saw techs will tell you E10 is the single most common thing they pull out of a no-start carburetor, and a carburetor rebuild runs $60 to $120 on a saw that cost you $400. If you have ever pulled a cord 50 times on a saw that ran fine last fall, this is why. Now leave that same fuel to sit, and it gets worse fast. Number 4. Gas that's been sitting in the can since last season. Fuel has a shelf life, and it's shorter than you think. Regular ethanol gas begins degrading in as little as 30 days. The light volatile compounds that make it ignite evaporate first, leaving a heavier gummy residue. Pour that stale fuel in, and you get hard starting, weak idle, and a sticky varnish that coats the carburetor jets, passages thinner than a pencil lead. Once those jets gum up, the saw runs lean. A lean 2-stroke runs hot, and a hot 2-stroke seizes. Shops see a wave of these every spring. Owners who fueled up in October, stored the saw full, and handed themselves a clogged carb by April. That old can in the corner of the garage isn't saving money. It's a repair bill waiting to happen. But stale fuel is at least still fuel. This next mistake means no lubrication at all. Number 3. Straight gas with no 2-stroke oil mixed in. This is the fastest killer on the list, and it happens more than any shop wants to admit. A 4-stroke engine, your car or your mower, has a separate oil reservoir. A 2-stroke chainsaw does not. The oil that protects the piston, the rings, and the crankshaft bearings is mixed directly into the fuel. That fuel oil mist is the only thing standing between the piston and a bare cylinder wall. Pour in straight gas, even once, even for 2 minutes, and the piston scores the cylinder. The rings weld into their grooves, and the engine seizes solid. Techs describe pulling these apart and finding scratch marks down the cylinder deep enough to catch a fingernail in. There is no fixing it. That is a new top end or a new saw, and on most homeowner models the repair costs more than the saw is worth. Mix your own fuel and the ratio matters. Get it wrong the other way, and you've got the next problem. Number 2. The wrong oil ratio or the wrong kind of oil. People hear the phrase more oil is safer and pour in a heavy slug of whatever is on the shelf. Both halves of that are wrong. Too little oil and the engine runs dry. Too much and you get carbon buildup that fouls the spark plug, clogs the exhaust port, and chokes the muffler screen until the saw bogs under load. And the type matters as much as the amount. Regular motor oil, outboard oil, or generic 2-stroke oil built for low-revving engines cannot handle what a chainsaw does. A saw spins past 13,000 RPM, far faster and hotter than almost any other small engine. It needs an oil rated specifically for high-temperature air, cooled two-stroke engines, the kind labeled for chainsaws and trimmers. Use the wrong bottle and you are building carbon and washing out lubrication at the same time. The saw will run badly, right up until it does not. But the most dangerous fuel of all isn't neglect. It's a choice people make on purpose to save a few dollars. Number 1. High ethanol fuel like E15 or E85. This killer gets worse every year because these blends are spreading across pumps nationwide and the labeling is easy to miss. E15 contains up to 15% ethanol. E85 can run as high as 85%. Take everything ethanol does to a two-stroke, the water absorption, the solvent attack on rubber and plastic, the corrosion, and multiply it. These blends eat through fuel lines, swell and destroy the carburetor diaphragms, and strip lubrication out of the fuel so aggressively the engine runs catastrophically lean and hot. Nearly every chainsaw manufacturer states plainly in the manual that anything above E10 voids the warranty instantly because they know exactly what it does. Someone grabs the cheaper E85 pump to save 30 cents a gallon and hands themselves a destroyed saw. If you have ever had a saw run rough or melt down right after a fill-up, hit that like button and drop it in the comments. It helps other owners avoid this. And subscribe, because now for the 3 fuels that do the opposite, the ones that keep that engine running for 20 years. Number 3. Ethanol-free pump gas, often labeled rec fuel, or premium non-ethanol. This is the biggest upgrade you can make for almost no cost. It has none of the water-absorbing, rubber-eating problems of E10, so it stores far longer and will not separate in the tank. Mix it with a quality two-stroke oil at your saw's exact ratio, and you've eliminated the #1 cause of carburetor failure. Most areas now have at least one station with an ethanol-free pump, and free websites map them out. For a saw you care about, it's worth the drive. But if you'd rather skip the mixing entirely, the next option is what the pros buy. Number 2. Canned pre-mixed fuel. This is what professional saw shops and arborists reach for. Companies sell engineered fuel pre-mixed at the perfect ratio with high-grade synthetic oil, zero ethanol, and a stabilized formula built for high RPM two-strokes. It costs more per liter, far more than pump gas, but it stores for years, starts instantly after a long winter, and burns clean. For someone who runs a few tanks a season, it is genuinely cheaper than a single carburetor rebuild. Open the can, pour, cut. No mixing, no math, no guessing. And if you want the absolute best, you combine the strengths of both. Number 1. Fresh ethanol-free gas mixed with a premium synthetic two-stroke oil and a fuel stabilizer. This is the gold standard, and it's the answer to the promise at the start of this video. The combination that keeps a saw running 15, 20 years and beyond. Start with fresh ethanol-free fuel. Add a top-tier synthetic oil rated for air-cooled high RPM engines, mix at the exact ratio your manual specifies, and add a stabilizer if it'll sit longer than a month. The synthetic lubricates cleaner and leaves less carbon. The stabilizer keeps the fuel from breaking down between uses. This is what separates a saw that dies in 2 seasons from one your kids inherit. Because the chainsaw almost never dies on its own. It dies from what goes in the tank. Skip the ethanol, never run straight gas, get the oil and ratio right, and that saw will outlive every cheap one your neighbors keep replacing.